Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman explores the dual systems of thinking that shape human decision-making and judgment. The book is divided into 5 parts, offering a detailed analysis of these systems, their interplay, and their impact on behavior. Here's the summary. Core concept: the 2 systems. System 1, fast thinking. Intuitive, automatic, and effortless. Operates quickly and relies on heuristics and instincts. Example: recognizing a face or reacting to danger. System 2, slow thinking. Deliberate, logical, and effortful. Engages in deep analysis and problem solving. Example: solving a math problem or making a strategic decision. Key themes and insights. Cognitive biases and heuristics. System 1 often uses shortcuts, heuristics, that can lead to biases. Common biases include anchoring, relying too heavily on initial information. Availability, judging probabilities based on recent or vivid memories. Representativeness, ignoring base rates and focusing on stereotypes. Overconfidence and illusions, people often overestimate their abilities and knowledge. The planning fallacy, underestimating time, costs, and risks. The illusion of understanding, believing events are more predictable than they are. Prospect theory and loss aversion, people value potential losses more than equivalent gains. Example: losing $100 feels worse than gaining $100 feels good. This explains irrational behaviors like risk aversion and reluctance to sell losing investments. Framing effects, decisions are influenced by how choices are presented. Example: a surgery with a 90% survival rate seems more favorable than one with a 10% mortality rate. The role of emotion. Emotions heavily influence System 1, often driving decisions without rational analysis. Here's an in-depth description of the ideas of thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, organized by its 5 main parts for clarity and thoroughness. Part 1, 2 systems. Kahneman introduces the 2 systems of thinking that govern how we process information and make decisions. System 1, the automatic, intuitive system, operates quickly and effortlessly, relies on heuristics, mental shortcuts, for judgments. Prone to cognitive biases due to oversimplifications. Examples: recognizing faces, detecting emotions, completing the phrase, bread and. System 2, the analytical, deliberate system, slower, more deliberate, and requires effort. Engaged for tasks that require focus, reasoning, or calculation. Can override System 1 but often defers due to laziness. Examples: solving a math problem, checking the validity of an argument. Key insight: System 1 is efficient but error-prone. System 2 is rational but resource-intensive, and often avoids engaging unless necessary. Part 2, heuristics and biases. This section builds on Kahneman's collaboration with Amos Tversky, highlighting predictable errors in judgment caused by reliance on heuristics. Anchoring effect. Initial information influences subsequent judgments. Example: if asked whether Gandhi lived past age 114, your estimate of his age at death will skew closer to 114. Availability heuristic. People assess the probability of events based on how easily examples come to mind. Example: plane crashes are overestimated as a risk because they are dramatic and widely reported. Representativeness heuristic. Judgments are based on how much something resembles a stereotype. Example: assuming someone with a quiet demeanor is a librarian, ignoring the fact that there are far more salespeople than librarians. Substitution. When faced with a difficult question, people substitute it with an easier one. Example: instead of, should I invest in this stock? People unconsciously ask, do I like this company? Optimism bias. People overestimate their abilities and chances of success, ignoring risks. Key insight: System 1's shortcuts lead to systematic biases, but they're often invisible to us. Part 3, overconfidence. Kahneman explores how overconfidence and errors in judgment stem from our flawed understanding of probability and statistics. Wizziati, what you see is all there is. People make decisions based on available information, ignoring what they don't know. Example: seeing only a person's achievements without understanding their struggles leads to overestimating their success. The illusion of skill. Experts often overestimate their predictive abilities, especially in fields like finance, where randomness plays a significant role. Hindsight bias. After an event occurs, people perceive it as more predictable than it was. Example: claiming, "I knew it all along," after a surprise outcome. The planning fallacy. People underestimate the time, costs, and risks involved in projects. Example: major infrastructure projects often face significant delays and cost overruns. Key insight: overconfidence leads to poor decisions. Awareness of biases can mitigate errors but doesn't eliminate them. Part 4: Choices and Prospect Theory. Kahneman introduces prospect theory, which describes how people evaluate potential gains and losses. Loss aversion. Losses hurt more than equivalent gains feel good. Example: losing $50 feels worse than winning $50 feels good. Endowment effect. People overvalue what they own simply because they own it. Example: a person selling a mug prices it higher than someone willing to buy the same mug. Framing effects. The way a decision is presented affects choices. Example: people are more likely to opt for a surgery if told it has a 90% survival rate than if told it has a 10% mortality rate. Certainty and possibility effects. People overvalue certain outcomes and undervalue highly improbable ones. Example: overpaying for lottery tickets because of the minute chance of winning. Fourfold pattern of risk. People behave differently depending on probabilities and outcomes. Risk-averse for high-probability gains. Risk-seeking for high-probability losses. Risk-seeking for low-probability gains. Risk-averse for low-probability losses. Key insight: people don't evaluate outcomes rationally. Their choices depend on how gains and losses are framed. Part 5: Two Selves. Kahneman examines the experiencing self and the remembering self, highlighting discrepancies between moment-to-moment experiences and memories of those experiences. Experiencing self lives in the present and feels life as it happens. Remembering self looks back at experiences and constructs a narrative. Overemphasizes peak moments, good or bad, and the ending of an experience. Example: a painful procedure ending on a positive note is remembered more favorably than a shorter procedure ending on a painful note. Duration neglect. People disregard the length of an experience and focus only on key moments. Applications. Behavioral economics. Insights from the book challenge traditional economic theories that assume humans are rational decision-makers. Practical decision-making. Understanding these systems can improve judgment in personal and professional contexts. Policy and nudges. Governments and organizations can design nudges to guide better decision-making without limiting freedom. Key insight: decisions are often made to please the remembering self, not the experiencing self, leading to choices that prioritize memorable experiences over consistently good ones. Conclusion: Kahneman emphasizes the importance of recognizing the limitations of intuition and the power of deliberate thinking. By being aware of these systems and biases, individuals can make more informed decisions and understand human behavior more deeply. The book bridges psychology, economics, and philosophy, offering a profound perspective on how we think and why we make the choices we do.